Hello and welcome to episode 14 of Boston Power Hour. I'm your host, Caiden Bodak, and I'm joined with Jake Seymour and Jamison Wrinn.
Good
So,
boys.
So, as usual, this podcast is presented by Ride the Wave Media and sponsored by 1 in 100. Have you ever wanted to see your favorite sports team play or wanted to go to the hottest concerts but don't have the money? Well, if you head over to 1in100.co, you can score big tickets to the biggest games and events for a fraction of the price. Head over to ONEIN, the number 100.co to purchase your raffle ticket and have a chance to win tickets to a sporting event and concert. That's ONEIN, the number 100.co. Follow them on Instagram at 100 official. That's ONEIN, the number 100 and official.
let's
So,
do it.
boys, let's get started here. So the news kind of just broke about Paul George. He had surgery, double shoulder surgery. That's a mouthful. Double shoulder surgery, and is out till November. It's not a specific date set. It just says out to November. So, Jake, you said you had like a labrum surgery, and Paul George kind of had the same thing done. So, what do you think about that?
So if it's anything like my labor room, I was out for 6 months from sports. So and I think he had a surgery in June. Say November, pretty close. So I honestly wouldn't even to be back to like mid-December or late November. But he's probably out for at least the first month of the season. I mean, the Clippers will probably be fine. They still have a solid team around it. But it's going to be interesting how Paul George comes in and fits with the team, not being in the preseason or training camp with them.
I think it's not going to matter, honestly. The Clippers are too good of a team. Their unit is too talented and too together for this absence of Paul George missing. I think he'll be there during preseason. He'll be there during training camp, slowly being getting healthier and getting back into his game. And once he's back full health, they'll just pick it up and they'll just add him in and keep on rolling. I don't think there is going to be a problem. I think we should be worried about it all. It could totally happen late November, early December, but in my opinion, it's just a little bump without him. And
Yeah,
then
but
once he comes back, him and Kawhi, I think, are going to get into a groove, and no one can say what will happen next.
the thing is, the I'm thinking is shoulder and like basketball is kind of like it's in the arms. Um, I wonder how like rusty he will be and how much the Clippers will use him coming off surgery. Like if he's not back till the end of November, will he not get going until around Christmas? Like full like how they're not going to play him totally come off surgery. So how much will the Clippers how affect chemistry and stuff? So.
Yeah, it's totally a factor. Like his absence could potentially screw up the team, but I'm saying it's not big enough. It's not a big enough deal to affect this team. Like they know he's injured. He had to get this done. For him personally, it's going to be tough getting back into that groove and playing at the NBA level, but he's been doing this for a while now. He's not a newer player. He'll be fine. And I don't think anything is going to happen with the Clippers. I think they're going to be going to the finals. I think they're going to the finals this year.
Yeah,
But I
you
don't think
don't
this
think
beginning.
anything's gonna happen.
No, I don't think anything's going to happen with him because the Clippers team, not like their talent in each separate player, just their team as a whole is too strong to be affected by missing Paul George. They're already good without him. So when you add
Yeah,
him, they're going to be even better.
so kind of going off that what you said about how they're already good without him, I wonder if if the team's rolling and they're like the best team in the West, at George, but they're like we're gonna use you, but you don't need we don't really. I mean, they're gonna use him. I wonder if they're really gonna force him like into the system and kind of like play him a lot, and that I wonder if that will like screw up a lot of things because if they already have the ball rolling and kind of putting if Doc Rivers puts Paul George in there and it's like well it's a big name he's a good player he's an all star. We have to put him on the team. He's gonna affect the team.
I got two
He just
names
goes
for you.
backwards.
I got two names for you, and use one of them. Doc Rivers and Kawhi Leonard. Doc Rivers, we all know, is a Hall of Famer coach. He coached us when we won our championship in 2008 for the Celtics. He's a coach that doesn't give a crap about, oh, this guy's we're paying him a lot of money, so we're going to automatically give him playing time. He's here to win a championship. That's what Doc Rivers signed up for, and that's what the management sees. And Paul George is mature enough to not demand playing time like a little baby. All right?
I understand
So,
that, but
hold on. I'm
you
not
never
done.
know with these guys, though.
You never know, but Paul George in the past has shown great maturity. And then the other name, we all know him, Kawhi Leonard. All right? We're talking about chemistry. He is one of the, what I saw in Toronto, he's one of the best players to create chemistry with. All right? That was one of the things he narrowed down when he got traded. You can see in an interview with Rachel Nichols and Kyle Lowry how he just got to Toronto. He saw a problem with chemistry and how he's the new guy, and they just traded DeMar. And so he calls Kyle up, and they start hanging out, and they create
but
that
before
bond.
but before
I'm saying he is.
was in Toronto,
I'm saying, hold on. I'm saying he's
he was like
experienced
bitching
with
moaning about going
chemistry.
to Toronto. Yeah,
What?
but I mean, when he first stepped foot in Toronto, he remember like we were wondering how many games he'd play because he was still, all upset and butthurt about going to Toronto and
No, so
mad.
the whole thing
What?
was
No,
with the
bro.
like he's gonna play with management. Not
Not at
only that,
all.
because I think he ended up playing like 60 games last year because he took 20 games off of load management. That's
Yeah,
what the thing you're thinking of.
that's not Kawhi Leonard not wanting to play with Toronto, bro. They won a freaking championship. All right, if he
No,
didn't
no,
want to
no,
play with Toronto, they wouldn't have won a championship. Yeah, he took time off, but it wasn't for that reason.
no. But
What I'm
remember,
saying is Kawhi Leonard is experienced enough. Remember, we have to stay on Paul George. I'm saying Kawhi Leonard is experienced enough with team chemistry that he'll shut that down. He'll make it worth with PG 13 coming in late. He's experienced enough and he knows what to do. And then you throw Doc Rivers, who controls the entire team and how it works on the court. Him extremely experienced in this. Him with Kawhi Leonard should take care of it. I'm saying that won't be a factor at all.
I'm just curious to see not how the two of them will gel together, like chemistry wise, but how they'll play together and how Doc Rivers will manage that because these two players are very similar in play style. So I'm assuming Doc would put PG at the 2 and put Kawhi at the 3. That would be the most logical thing to do.
Yeah.
But then with that coming up too, like now you got to bench Patrick Beverly, who's like your vocal.
No, you
leader.
don't. You
Yeah,
put
you
him
do.
at the 1. You play him as point guard, and then you put Montrezl Harrell at the 4, and then Zubac at the 5.
Yeah, but is Patrick Beverly really your ball handler at that point?
But he is a solid point guard, and he can bring the ball up. We've seen it before. And if you don't need him to bring the ball up, you got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Those are 3 solid players that are confident with their ball handling. They're not like insane like like Kyrie Irving, but they can bring the ball up the court and make a move and make a pass. All right, you have 3 solid guys who can do that, and Pat Beverly is one of them. And then he throws Lou Williams as a 6th man. You have guys who can do it, and you want someone like Patrick Beverly on the court starting with you with his energy and his defensiveness.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Paul George and Kawhi's game styles are so similar that I feel like it would be a little easier to shut them down than it would be like another team. Like when Kawhi was with Toronto, you had so many like he was like the man in Toronto. Like, that was his team, but you had so many guys that you could kick it out to. They had decent big men towards the end with Marc Gasol. I don't know. It's just gonna be interesting to see how the two of them. I think we just lost Caiden.
No,
We didn't.
Just keep going. Keep going.
All right. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see how Kawhi Leonard and Paul George play together because if you both look at their like how they played, like they're more of like jump shot players, or get to the paint for like a layup. Not as much as like Kawhi. Like I noticed a lot, he would kind of just drive in a little bit and then kick it out, or someone would drive in and kick it out to him, kind of thing. So I don't know, it's gonna be interesting, definitely, to see how the two of them play in that similar play style.
I think it's almost going to be like you're trying to like guard two Kawhis or two Paul Georges. I think it might be a little too much for a team, unless you're the Los Angeles Lakers, of course. But they can put men on them. But I just think they're only going to compliment themselves. I think they know that they need a win, and Paul George and Kawhi are mature enough. Maturity is such an underrated quality in sports. When you're able to calm yourself and focus in on the game and focus in on what matters. And I totally see that with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George as players and people. Plus, they have a team behind them. They're part of the Clippers. They have the Clippers team behind them who are exactly like that, but they're competitive as all hell. I've never seen a team more competitive with more heart in this like in today's NBA.
Yeah, definitely an interesting team with interesting
in today's NBA. I'm
right.
making that very clear. In today's NBA.
We're moving on to our next topic. So Caiden was thinking about Brian Flores in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dolphins ended up losing today, right? So were they 0-4 in the season?
Yeah, they lost 31-10. Sorry, boys, too. My Wi-Fi cut out, so I missed that kind of whole conversation. So if you said anything to me, my Wi-Fi cut out.
All good.
So Caiden, what are your thoughts on Brian Flores in Miami?
Yeah.
So 3 weeks into the season, I thought for sure he's going to be fired because, they only scored 16 points in 3 games, and they gave up a boatload of points, over 100. It's just crazy. And so I thought for sure in his first season as head coach of Dolphins, he would be fired before the season even ended. But they made a QB change and benched Ryan Fitzpatrick and had Josh Rosen as a starting QB. And it made it clear once they traded Mika Fitzpatrick that they are in total rebuilding mode. So after they named Josh Rosen QB and traded Fitzpatrick, they traded draft picks for trading Fitzpatrick, and they scored 10 points this week against the Chargers, and Rosen went 17 for 24 and had 180 yards passing. It shows really that the Dolphins are headed in the right direction, and I think the Dolphins front office is going to be like, listen, this year we're not doing anything. We're not going to make us, but that's okay.
That's awkward.
Got drafted.
That's awkward.
I'm comfortable in this Miami offense.
How you doing, Jake?
What up,
Brian
Jamison?
Flores.
How do we explain that? You
you kind of
you went flatline. So
I'm gonna call you.
So basically, what you're saying is that Brian Flores
Where did I cut
is Brian Flores had a slow start, but they're in rebuilding mode, and you just had to trust him, right?
Yeah, that's basically it. They're gonna kind of take Josh Rosen and kind of build him up and have him get comfortable as a starting quarterback, and and move on to next season. You'll see Brian Flores as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins next season.
I can see that. I can see the management putting a little trust. 2 to 3 seasons down the road, if they're not doing okay, then he'll probably get fired then.
Oh yeah,
prediction.
for sure. Yeah.
It's also he doesn't have any pieces around him to build around. Not even to build around, but just to compete now, I guess. You tell me Rosen's the quarterback that's going to carry you to the promised land, or come on, I don't even know if Rosen's good enough to be the backup on a Super Bowl team. So get it like that, they don't have a lot to compete with, and not even in the East, but in the whole NFL in general. So you can't really blame the guy just because of that. And if they're in that rebuilding mode, the last thing you want to do is just constantly bring in new head coaches, because the Browns do that, I think, a little bit. They brought in 3 different coaches, and that just ruins what you build. every time that coach builds something, you fire him, and the next thing you know, like that's it. And same
It,
thing too, like
it
they don't want
destroys
to
the
go down.
culture.
Yeah, and the Browns even did it too with I think it was quarterbacks they did it with. I can't remember the
Yeah.
guy's name, but they had that center that was there for like 12 seasons or something stupid like that. And he'd be like, there would literally be times where he would be sitting in the huddle and a new quarterback would come running out and like introduce himself like in the huddle. So I mean,
Wild.
you definitely don't want to do stuff like that because then that just ruins with the culture and like the people, the players' perspectives, not only on each other but on the team and the front office itself.
Mm-hmm.
James, what do you think?
Yeah, I think switching out switching out key pieces in a team really messes with uh the rest of the team. And how I look at it is there's these key pieces, but the role players are some of the most I think it's the most important part of a team are the role players, because without the role players, everyone's trying to be the hero, and you need people who just need to do their job.
Right.
And how you do that and how you make that certain is making them trust you. If those role players can trust the key players like the quarterback, the coach, the general manager, the leaders of the team, then the role players or the followers on the team can do their job to the best of their ability and can make it successful. Because you need everyone stepping up. You need everyone to be doing what their position tells them to. That's why you see the Patriots are so good, because the key players and key people like the coach and the quarterback, they have trust in them. The role players have trust in their leaders. And so you see the defense stepping up as a team, as a unit. You see the offense going to different targets, but you still see them stepping up in their roles, catching balls, not dropping them, running their routes to their to perfection almost. And because they have such trust in a long-term quarterback and a long-term coach. And when you get people coming in and out of a franchise, those role players that are on the team are going to lose interest and are going to lose a lot of trust because they just don't know you. They don't know what you can do and how you can help them. And it's all about the role players and how the leaders or the key players can utilize them and make them trust the leaders. If
Right.
that makes
Yeah.
any sense.
Down to like, I always hear this in football a lot. Like, it down to like what's best for the buddy next to him line. And that's the thing in football. Like in basketball, you can kind of get away with moving people around and like trading people and like all that stuff. But when it comes to football, like you really can't mess with that stuff. And it's like players take that seriously. And that's what like they play for. They play for the guy next to them.
Exactly. And that's, like I said, the Patriots are the perfect example.
Patriots literally, like I said this a couple episodes ago when they got Antonio Brown, they literally take another man's trash and make it into some superstar. Like, perfect example, Tom Brady. He got picked in the 199th pick in the 2000 NFL draft. And now he's like the greatest quarterback, greatest football player to ever play the game. Which is just...
He is the greatest ever.
Like, it's just insane to think about it. The Patriots just take... They can take, like, the worst person in anything and, like, turn it into something. Like, they find nobody's like Gunner, Jake Bailey. They take all these people and just, like, show how good they are.
Because I think, my theory about the Patriots is if you're in the NFL, you are good enough to play at this level. It's the mental game. The professional sports is really a mental game, and how well you do is up to you and how you can deal with the circumstances and everything that goes on. Because college, it's still less. It's not as big of a deal as the NFL.
In college, you can get away with being the biggest guy on the court. Like, look at Zion Williamson. It's a perfect example right there. I mean, how many times did we look at him and be like, oh, wow, he's great at mentally at the game. Like, we always do them. So, like, did you see what he dunked on last night?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see, like how he posted up that guy? Did you see the shoe he blew through?
That's why rookies are such a big risk, because they have all this talent in the world. And the people at the college level are not at their level of skill. They're not at that level of skill. But when you go to the NBA, everyone is at a high level of skill. Everyone is. The best of the best is playing the NBA, no matter what position you play, what seat you are on the bench, whatever. It's the mental game. Look at Kobe Bryant. Look how he started off his career, all right? He crapped the bed. Most players, they just keep on. If you crap the bed in a moment like that where you miss a game-winning shot, like a game-tying shot, back-to-back almost, that's what happened to him in his one of his last games of his rookie career. You just keep in that cycle of acting bad, and you eventually leave the league. But Kobe Bryant chose to, like, with himself mentally, to be better, to keep working harder, to do those things that can help him improve, and he conquered the mental game, and everything else just came with it because he had the skill. If you have the mental capacity, strength to win, then you will win in professional sports.
And that even like going back to the NFL real quick, like you see that with Bill Belichick, his like famous line, "We're on to Cincinnati." That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he said it even again with was it last week? Who did they play last week? It was the Jets. They played the Jets last week. And the reporter goes, she had like a pretty decent interview with Belichick going, and then she ruins it by going at the very end. She goes, "Oh, I would be it wouldn't be right if I didn't ask about Antonio Brown, and what was like, why'd you release him?" And he goes, "We're playing the Jets today," or something like that. It's like that's like the perfect like response.
That's just that's his mindset. That's his mindset that it's all business and we need to get the job done. That's his role, to keep the players in check. That's how I see it. He's doing that to keep the players focused on their goal, and their goal is a Super Bowl. That's it.
Goals to get 7. What is it? Repeat with the
with the 7? Hell yeah.
The shirt with
yeah, that. And then
All
there's
right.
the Stairway to 7.
Speaking of New York and the Jets, we're on to our third and final topic. Today's game on this Sunday against the Patriots and the Buffalo. Jake, what was your thoughts of the game? What do you think was good, bad, interesting?
So, all right, so we're going to start off with the bad, get that out of the way quick. The O-line was horrific all game. Couldn't run block, couldn't pass block. I mean, Brady got so many intentional groundings today, and people were saying that, oh, Brady looked like an idiot out there. And like at one point, the commentators said that Brady looked human today. It's like, no, Brady was doing so bad because his offensive line was not blocking for him. I mean, there were times where he only had like two, like the ball would get snapped and there would already be a Bill defenseman in the pocket, and he would just throw the ball away. There was like nothing you could do. You have guys like James White and Sonny Michel who have been kind of slow stepping up, and I blame that on the offensive linemen because they're not blocking their role. Like they ran, I think it was pass block left, and the linebacker came right in the middle, and no one picked him up, and almost sacked Brady. I don't think Brady got sacked once, but I mean that was just because Brady saw it coming like before the ball was snapped and got rid of it. But he got so many intentional groundings today. I think he had like 2 or 3, which is way too much to have like in a football game. You like some quarterbacks only get that in a season, let alone an entire game. So I mean, when you look at it like that, it's a little embarrassing on their part. I mean, the good part was the defense. Defense was basically lights out almost the entire game.
They saved our ass.
I mean, yeah, they did. And they let up 3 points on the field goal at first, and then they let up a touchdown. First touchdown of the season, which, I mean, hey, it sucks. But, I mean, it was bound to happen at some point. Like, whether you want to admit it or not.
The first touchdown of the season.
On the defense let up because I think
that's crazy.
Last week Miami scored a touchdown on us, but it was because Brian Hoyer
is a turnover.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you start looking at it like that, like the defense has been so good these last couple games, and like that's one thing to like take away, that defense has just been like ridiculous. And at one point in the first quarter, looking through the stats, Josh Allen, he completed more passes to Patriot players than he did to his own. He was like 1 for 8 at the end of the first quarter.
Oh my, that's
And
hilarious.
with like 2 interceptions or something like that. I think it came from J.C. Jackson and
Yeah.
McCourty. Yep.
I mean, J.C. Jackson had 2 picks on the day.
Yeah, that guy had it. Speaking of someone that had a day, that guy had a freaking day.
J.C. Jackson did have a day.
And then he had that block. He blocked the punt that Slater got.
To get yeah, I love Matthew Slater so much.
I'm so happy.
J.C. Jackson just is coming in rolling hot.
I mean, I think we lost the offensive side of the game, but we won 2 out of the 3 sides. We won the defense and the special team, and that's what really matters.
And you kind of just those 3 sides have to step up when another part of the machine isn't working. And I think that's definitely what happened in today's game. It's just a simple, like, next man up.
As good as our defense is not good enough to be able just to sit on having our offense do absolutely nothing all game and being able to do what we did today. We only did that because, honestly, like, Buffalo, like, they're as good as the defense is, their offense is a complete joke. Like, when we play teams like Kansas City, we're not going to be able to have our offense just lay down and let Kansas City's defense walk across us and have our defense play lights out against Kansas. So I'm telling you right now, this can be a high-scoring game when we play Kansas. As good as the defense is, it's going to be ridiculous.
I don't think we're going to run into this problem with those big games of the offense not performing. Tom Brady's too mature. He's too experienced. He's too he's Tom Brady, honestly. And Bill Belichick's Bill Belichick, and they'll take care of it. But I think it was more of a mental thing today, not that affected their physical play. Like, they were just doing the wrong things.
It's just going to come down to the O-line if they'll be able to run block come January.
I mean, last year it was one of the best O-lines ever, and this year
we're missing key guys. That's the problem. Yeah. We let I think it was Trent Brown. He walked this year. We let we didn't let him. What I'm trying to say is what's his name?
David Andrews.
David Andrews. He had to leave because of his blood clots in his lungs. So I mean, we lost two guys out of the 5 that are like good guys in the line. I want to say we lost Isaiah. Did we lose him?
Isaiah Wrinn. I think he had an injury. Yeah, I can.
Or he's hurt or something.
We're just getting bad luck on the O-line.
So if the O-line's banged up and we've lost 3 out of 5 or 2 out of the 5, it might be 3.
It'll be a process. I think the O-line, it's definitely going to be a process. And in Bill we trust, honestly. In Bill we trust. I'm just putting my worries and whatnot towards him, and he's going to take care of it.
I mean, I trust the offensive line coach. I mean, people forget this a lot, but I can't think of his name, but that offensive lineman coach, he's been there since, I think, before Belichick. Like, he's been there since the beginning. So he knows what he's doing. I have faith that he'll be able to take this O-line and turn him into a good Patriots O-line. But it's just a matter of when that happens. Because at what point do teams realize how bad this O-line is, and every play they blitz? And then it turns into a situation where it's not how bad Brady's doing, it's how bad the offensive line's doing.
Because this potentially could be our Achilles heel.
I've been saying this since week 1. The only thing that will kill this team is the offensive line. It's the only thing that'll kill it. And this is what killed us in 2015. We had such a great team, and then the O-line was awful. And we just couldn't protect Brady. We couldn't give Brady time to throw the football.
Could you just...
Can't let that happen.
Could you just,
If the O-line is... If you don't... You need an O-line to protect your quarterback. It's one of the most important parts of football.
I understand that, but if you're lower at O-line, couldn't you put 2 tight ends there, on a passing play just to block more? I know.
Yeah, but now you only have 2 receivers out there. Yeah, every person you put in the O-line, you're taking away from a receiving spot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then just put 1 tight end. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely do that, but then at the same time, once you put the tight end in there, now you're going to be outnumbered on the receiver part.
But how hard is it to pick up? I mean, I know there's good O-lines and offensive linemen and bad ones, but I don't know. Couldn't they just pick up somebody on the waivers, or in free agency?
They've done that.
So that's not how it works. They've got their players. They just have to perform well. You're talking about positioning, but
yeah, but we're talking about Jake was talking about how injuries. Why don't you pick up somebody?
They have though. they've traded away picks to get O-line.
They have been doing it.
They've claimed people off of waivers. It's just they have the players in place to do their job. It's just a matter of them performing to what the Patriots thought they could do.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It has nothing to do with the Patriots not having enough O-line. Like, if they had, like, 6 O-linemen, then it'd be like, okay, like, you need way more than that. But they have the linemen to do it. They have the talent to do it. It's just a matter of, the problem is that, I mean, now we're 4 weeks in the season, but the Patriots didn't think about getting David Andrews out for the year. You didn't have guys like that. You weren't thinking of guys like that going out. Isaiah Wynn, I think he was hurt these first couple weeks. So you don't think
he had
that.
foot injury.
So, I mean, these injuries on the O-line just keep piling up and piling up. And eventually you have different O-linemen coming in each week, and that's not a way to build a team in any position, having different guys coming in.
So you think maybe come like week 6, everybody just kind of gets in the groove and
I don't know. I mean, that could definitely be something that happens, or we could be sitting here week 7 saying this O-line still has not woken up yet. What is going on? I mean, it literally depends on like what happens with this offensive line. They could either take a full 180 and start playing amazing football, or they could just sit here and get worse.
Yeah, but like you said, you were talking about how like the quarterback thing and bringing in like quarterbacks, and you can't really like, make a system and build a team.
It's different for the O-line because the O-line is not leaders; they're role players. The O-line needs to do their job and protect the quarterback and block. That's what their role is. Quarterbacks are leaders and key roles. And same as coaches, that's not what I'm saying.
That's definitely not true because why would David Andrews be captain if he wasn't a leader?
I mean, he's a leader in the locker room, but I'm saying on the field and when you're purely looking at positional playing. Okay, not at who's playing the position and what their skill is at it's what position is which and how does each position affect each other. And that those key positions is the quarterback and the coach and the people who are distributing the ball and whatnot. The O-line, that position is protection. That's their role.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is if your O-line sucks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what it's a problem with. The O-line, if you have a sucky O-line, it's going to hurt your quarterback, and that's hurting your team. That's why it's so important for the Patriots to get this done with, to get a really good O-line to protect Tom Brady.
And then to it, the whole O-line, like, bringing in new offensive linemen, it isn't, like, going from different teams for each O-line is not as big of a difference from team to team because, like, every team has very similar plays. Like they call a pass play. Okay, I'm pass blocking here. And you do what you've been doing your whole life, pass blocking. Or they say, like, okay, you're going to run this way and block this guy. And you do that.
Yeah, like, you're taking a few steps here, a few steps there.
Where, like, if you look at, like, receivers, for example, like, or even quarterbacks, there's so many different that you can run. Whether, like, if you, like, he's a good quarterback in football, so you're not going to see him running out of the pocket. But imagine if, like, all of a sudden Tom Brady left and we brought in Cam Newton. Cam Newton would have to adjust to not being able just to run out of the pocket. He would have to just rely on his arm. And that would hinder his game. The transition from quarterbacks to different teams is much, much bigger of a difference than old linemen transitioning to different teams.
Because their role is not as big. That's what I'm saying. When players have big roles, you need people that the smaller role players can trust so they can do their job to perfection and help the rest of the team. An O-line thing is very simple, but if it's done poorly, then you're not going to have a good passing or running game, which is your offense.
All
right, guys.
I know we were talking about the role players and stuff, but another big part of the ball was as special teams, and somebody had brought up in the questions about Steven Gostowski and like what we think about him. Is it time for the Pats to move on to Steven Gostowski? He has made, looking at his stats now, he's made 87% of his field goals, so he's only missed one, but extra points he's under 75%. He's attempted 15 and only made 11. So like, is it time to move on?
Can I jump on this quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the times he's missed them, we've been up front, and they haven't been high pressure moments. If he misses a field goal or an extra point in a high pressure moment, get him out of here. The first one. That's what I'm saying. The first high pressure moment, like let's say we're facing the Kansas City Chiefs and there's we get up the field in field goal range, we're tied, 5 seconds left in the game, and we line up Gostowski for a field goal punt. If he misses that, get him off our team. But if he misses simple ones against bad teams, against when we're up ahead, like if he starts to do it consistently, then yeah, he's gonna suck.
But if he can't make the kicks in low pressure situations when you're up by 30, how are you supposed to trust him?
That's what
when
I'm saying.
The Super Bowl.
That's
so
what I'm getting to.
Don't they
that's
just move on now?
Because you need to give him a chance. Has he missed one since? Like week 1, week 2?
Yeah, he's 11 for 15 on the year.
He missed 11 for 15.
He missed one
when was
today.
The last time he missed one?
Today he missed.
So he's been doing it consistently.
Yeah.
Now that's a problem. That's what I'm saying. If you're doing consistently in the low pressure moments, then you should really consider getting rid of him. But I didn't think about that. Like you have to, if he would just missed a few in very low pressure moments, then you have to give him a chance. But since he's missing him consistently and he's 11 for 15, I'd consider it.
Yeah. So also I want to shout out Rachel Picard. She was the one that asked this question, but I think by next week if Gostkowski doesn't have misses a couple of PAT, I think he should start going for 2 points after the touchdowns. Or honestly, as much as that might be a good idea for Patriots to do in the regular season, knowing Bill Belichick, he's gonna wait till the playoffs to do that because or in a high situation because he doesn't like to show his secret his weapons in the regular season. Even last year with Gronk, I remember people were all up in him on the radio and stuff. Felger was ripping him saying, "Oh, you got to get the ball to Gronk. What are you doing?" Gronk only had two targets in the last 4 games, and then I was like, "No, just wait because he's gonna use them in the playoffs." And sure enough, I think it was that Chargers game or that Kansas City game, he just went off on them.
Yep.
And it was perfect.
Why not have Jake Bailey kick the extra points?
I thought of that too. I don't know. Is he that kind of kicker or is he strictly a punter?
I mean, he's a punter, but he was a place kicker at Stanford. Yeah.
So if like Bill Belichick said, their team culture says, next man up. If they need that from Jake, what was his name? Baldwin?
Jake Bailey.
Jake Bailey? My bad. If they need it from Jake Bailey, then he'll do it. Then he'll have him do it. But
yeah, it's literally
they still 11 for 15. I'll give him his next 5 kicks, his next 5 place kicks, and if he goes 50%, then it's probably time. But
it's all mental for him too, because if you look at his stats,
exactly.
He's statistically
also
one of the best kickers to ever do it.
Also,
there was one, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, where he didn't miss a PAT in 300 attempts or something stupid like that.
Then he missed an important one, but
yeah.
Also, look at the kick holder. All right, look at the angle he's holding and how he does that for Gostowski, because that can really affect it.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
I mean, but as long as the laces out thing, as long as I don't think that's as big of a deal. I just think, like you said, it's all mental because it's not like he's only missed 1 field goal kick. So if it's in this guy's head that he can't make an extra point, then just have Jake Bailey take the extra point and keep him on the, because it's not like they're saving money by not having Gostowski take extra points. They already have him on the team. So why not have Jake Bailey as the just kick extra points and then have Gostowski just kick field goals, because maybe it's all mental for him.
I think if it gets worse, I think they're gonna put in Jake Bailey. That's what Belichick does.
Why wouldn't you? He's on the team anyway.
Exactly.
Try it out.
All right, guys. That's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Ride the Wave Media. Don't forget to check us on Instagram at the Boston Power Hour and Ride the Wave NBA or
NBA News Ballers.
NBA News Ballers and Ride the Wave Media. All right. All love. Right on, baby. Right on.
Peace out, guys.